For the 8 iwi of Te Tauihu o Te Waka a Maui, where our Eastern Polynesian tipuna first landed, the future is bright. By remembering those tipuna and cherishing the taonga and mātauranga they left behind, a new day begins to rise. Ka mua, ka muri. We walk backwards into the future.
O kawa is formal, okay, so we're formally going in to open up our wānanga. And the first stage of our wānanga is about us returning to the night. We have this concept within Te Ao Māori that in order to find enlightenment, we must go into the dark. As Māori, we are tūpuna-led and our decisions are all for our mokopuna. And so we're trying to give the next generation a better tomorrow. We've forgotten what our sacred intent looks like and how to conduct ourselves as rangatira and how to conduct ourselves as ariki. One of the things that you often hear people talk about is intergenerational trauma, and it's a reality and that's out there. But, you know, we need to come from an abundance point of view, and so we need to be thinking about, well, what does intergenerational wealth look like?
Ha kina breathing in, ha puta breathing out. So really try to maintain that sacred intent of yours.
Within our whare, we call that our kawa ora. What is your pathway to abundance? What does that look like for you? You know, if we take the model of language revitalisation, that it takes 3 generations to revitalise a language. And so if we start to think about an intergenerational wealth, then your uri will be able to have a new Hawaiki Hou.
Fond memories of coming down here when I was a 12-year-old with one of my best mates. School holidays, Mum and the old man would go back to town and leave us here for a week on end. People would probably cringe at that now, but yeah, it was life-changing for me. You know, get up in the morning, first thing we'd do is go and catch some fish for lunch and go down the creek, get some watercress. That's what I imagine life would have been back when our ancestors were roaming around here. Yeah, get up, go get something to eat.
Traditional Māori life centred on the deep connection to the natural world. Ko au te whenua, ko te whenua ko au. I am the land and the land is me. Now, in Titiraukawa in the Marlborough Sounds, this Ngāti Kuia-led facility partners with whenua whānau, turning ancient knowledge into a modern future.
This is a high area of forestry and dairy farming. And our whānau really aren't involved in that sort of industry. So they come up with an initiative called Whānau Whenua, and it was just basically how do we help our whānau come back to the lands and be able to live there, survive and create some income. Obviously Mānuka honey was pretty big at the time. Around this part of the Sounds, Mānuka's not a plant that sort of grows everywhere like it does in the north, but Kānuka just grows wild everywhere. We come up with this idea about how do we use the plants that are actually prolific on the whenua. As it goes in here, we just try and lay it out as kind of as spread out as we can across the bottom of the pot. So quite a labour sort of intensive job. Good having 2 people sort of on the process of this part of it.
Historically, there was a lot of whānau living here, but there's not a lot of opportunities out here for whānau, so we've created 17 jobs in this area so far for our Kānuka facility where we extract the oil and floral water as well as make organic tea.
This stuff's really, really good for you to breathe in, good for your lungs. The properties of the Kānuka are really good for respiratory and skin ailments. So we did a lot of science-based testing, because if we want to sell something that we're claiming to be therapeutic or medicinal, we needed all the science around it. A lot of Māori industry, a lot of Māori businesses are doing that. They've got their story, they've got their mātauranga, and they're getting science to really cement what they already know. And that there's pure Kānuka oil coming out now. It's pretty satisfying from on your whānau block. You've harvested, it's come back here, and you're getting a high-grade, high-premium product.
This is a drone here. We just lay it out in here to dry. And it takes about 2 to 3 days in the dryer before it's perfectly dry to then rub to make our tea.
So at the moment, we're really in a phase of build. We've got our organic certification, we've got our whānau blocks, we've got our nursery, we've got our facility. The key to it is that we are setting up an industry and a business that whānau can come into and actually excel. It's a generational thing for me. You know, I want to set my kids up. There's always that option for them to come to a safe place, spend a bit of time here, do a little bit of mahi, and hopefully they can make a little bit of income from it.
Here in Waiharakeke, or Blenheim, Hawaiki Kura helps hapori reconnect with te ao Māori. And it's a multi-generational whānau business, bringing innovation to everything they do.
And then this bit, like, really smile, entertain on that bit, ka pai? Because that's the fusing te ao Māori with samba. One of the kaupapa we have here at Hawaiki Kura is Haka Fusion. Haka Fusion is the mixing of te ao Māori with dance styles like salsa and hip-hop. We do things like partner dancing, samba, poi, patu. We have the tino rangatira flag, and my role within this kaupapa is the creative director. So Haka Fusion is my 2 biggest passions mixed together, which is te ao Māori and salsa dancing. Okay, this morning this is going to be the only section you do the patu with until we try the pants on. Goodbye. So I've been dancing since I was a little girl. I started salsa probably professionally at 12. I had to choose between going to kapahaka practice or dance practice, which is also where Haka Fusion came from because I didn't want to choose anymore.
Kia ora mai TV, we are here in Wellington getting ready for our Impact Dance Nationals. I have all our amazing dancers behind us getting their lashes done, getting their mokos done to get ready to take that stage. Let's go! So today we have our Impact National Competition. So we've already qualified at regionals and getting ready for comp. Hair, makeup, lashes, costumes.
We have 2 teams that have qualified, a junior and a senior team. So we're training, we're cleaning things up, we're doing everything that we need to do to make sure we represent te ao Māori on that stage.
So, back to our stage. Please welcome one more time, Hawaiki Hou from Hawaiki Kura.
But it's a massive journey. It's a really cool opportunity for our rangatahi to share their Māoritanga.
I think I'm passionate about Haka Fusion because I was that shy little girl in the corner who was too nervous to speak, too nervous to stand. But through te ao Māori especially, and through dance, I was able to overcome those fears. A lot of our rangatahi have said that dancing on stage isn't something that they've ever had a goal to do, but now they're confident enough to stand within themselves, smile, present themselves, get their makeup done. It's stuff like that that make our rangatahi look at themselves and be proud to be Māori.
We have a second place award and a platinum for Hawaiki Fusion.
Huriawa is the tupuna taniwha, and she was called forth from Maunga Parapara to reside in Waikoropupū. Some people think they've seen her, but I haven't.
Just 7 kilometres north of Tākaka lies a taonga that Māori have valued for generations. Waikoropupū is the largest cold water spring in the Southern Hemisphere, with some of the clearest water ever recorded.
Some of the whānau come every morning. They've started coming every morning and doing their karakia.
But since the 1980s, mana whenua ki Mohua have fought to protect the springs from farming, mining and other threats, and to preserve this taonga for future generations.
It's been a constant challenge to keep going and to actually have the motivation, but we're in this for the long haul. When we got involved with Waikoropupū back in 1980, the thing was that they wanted to commercialise it. There was applications for glass bottom boats, there was applications for gold mining. People were diving and swimming in it for years. That's how we got involved, is objecting to all the applications. It was, you know, just to protect the integrity of the place, you know, the wairua. Back in the 80s, it was sort of quite a lonely journey. Even our own people didn't want to understand what we were talking about. We'd made it at Wahitapu in 2005, but it still didn't stop the flow of people wanting to do things. And that's when we decided that we needed to have a, you know, try for a conservation order.
We don't want to stop development, but what we want to make sure is that it's developed in the right places, and this isn't the right place. If you look at the fast-tracking legislation that's coming through and they're watering down the RMA, it's making it a little bit more difficult for us as the whānau, the hapa and the iwi to protect those places that need protecting. For us, this is a really special place, and our main role is to protect it, because if anything happens with this, who's going to fix it?
Building a strong, self-sufficient community starts with the basics.
Can we jump on, grab a life jacket, eh?
In Whakatū, he kai kei aku ringa is teaching the next generation how to gather kai like their ancestors did.
I know my haramai ki te wako he kai kei aku ringa. Just do a bit of a brief before we head off, just so, again, with the life jackets, but if you go overboard, you've got a tab, it'll be on your right-hand side. Just pull the tab, okay, it'll inflate, okay, and just sit there. We'll come around and pick you up.
So I'm the director of the kaupapa, and then also take care of the operations side of it, whilst my wife takes care of the logistics and administration side of it. And so, yeah, I get to get the best of both worlds, get to plan it and get to be amongst it and operate with them, which is cool.
During this period, we're on nearly pretty much every weekend, because we obviously got a bit of a backlog of tamariki that we have to get through. So pretty much every good day, even during the week, sometimes. Generally with teenagers, it sort of be repetitive so that they can learn how to actually tie the knots or how to actually fish. So with them, we try and put a little bit more time into them, and generally we try to run them over like 2 or 3 days. But for this age, we just get them on the boat, just a bit of an experience, you know? No big expectations, but when the kids keep coming with us, then we put more responsibility on them and get them to work a little bit more, be more active. See the currents pushing your line on the there.
When I was younger, we didn't have much food in that. I didn't want kids to go through what I went through, just set you up for a bad path. So I thought if we could give our kids good kai from the Ngāhere o Tangaroa. Tighten again some more. Already up. What do you got?
Ooh, Gurnard Slayer.
Gurnard Slayer, eh? Trying to build capability, trying to empower people, connect to Tangaroa, to Tāne. Feeding's one thing, but I think the gold standard is actually teaching, giving them the skills and the knowledge to do it themselves, empowering. You can always give kai away, but you're feeding them for that moment. If you give them the mātauranga, you feed them forever. Te kai ke akuringa. It doesn't cost much. Like here, we're really lucky. You can put in $30 gas, go to the Ngāhere and come out with $4,000 worth of meat, which we did the other night, just by getting 2 animals. So this is our way of being able to give back, but also try and identify the ones also that were like me that might need some aroha, guidance or some kai.
In Whakatū Nelson, Whakatū Marae is opening its gates to more than 200 manuhiri from all over Aotearoa. For many, it's their first taste of te tauihu manaakitanga.
I love watching all of our hungry North Islanders come down and they tell us they can eat kaimoana, but they can't.
But these visitors aren't just here for the kai. They're here for a weekend-long rākau grading wānanga.
Yeah, so we sort of come up with the idea a couple of years ago that we wanted to host another grading here in Whakatū. I'd asked people from all over Wharetu Taua, all of the top kai rākau in the world, to come through and tautoko our kaupapa. And they answered the call and they came down. We were very, very fortunate to have over 10 or 11 taurapau whakarai that could make it down to come and sanction this kaupapa. We had probably close to over 220 whānau attended. Just heaps of networking, heaps of whakawhiti kōrero, heaps of whanaungatanga and hononga, and making sure that we can find connections. So there's 8 pau in Te Wharetu Taua Aotearoa. So when you get to the top, you actually find yourself back at the beginning again. Our kaupapa comes full circle. And how can you help your iwi? How can you help your whānau? How can you help your marae, your hapu, your communities? What tools can we put in place to make sure that our people are not struggling anymore? And it's around making sure that we don't lose our language and we don't lose our tikanga. it's our values, and it's something that we're proud to be as Māori. And our tumu whakarai, Papa Pete, he always strives for succession and he strives for the pinnacle of excellence. It's just beautiful to have people here. You know, it's been a long time before our people have started to connect again. So this one is special just to have us as te iwi Māori, so us as the haukanga, being able to have a place somewhere for our whānau Māori, mahi ngā mahi Māori, ako te reo Māori, kōrero te reo Māori, titiro te reo Māori, tohu te reo Māori, whakai te iwi Māori.
When I was brought up here in Marlborough, not the most diverse place in the 80s to grow up in. So when you know what that feels like to not have that security and cultural identity, then you know what it also feels like when you do get that.
It's a powerful time for te tauihu Māori. A future shaped on their own terms, where modern tools and tikanga come together. This is more than a revival. It's a bold reimagining of what it means to be Māori in te tauihu today.
This is an example of our social media. So this is our men's wānanga. This is more around, you know, the fun that they can have as well. We're actually just trying to level our social media content up as well. It's been a big part of our Hawaiki Kura brand. You know, we never thought we'd do an exhibition and then next minute we're doing an exhibition because it was a byproduct of all the content that we've been creating. We decided that Matariki was a great time for us to come together and celebrate our collective success. Kia ora, everybody. The name of this exhibition is Hawaiki Hou, and this is an encouragement to us all as we look for our new Hawaiki. What does that look like for us? So we often think about the old Hawaiki, Hawaiki Nui, Hawaiki Roa, Hawaiki Pāmamo, our ancient homelands. Hawaiki Hou is about what does our future look like? And so this exhibition provides a personal glimpse into the transformative oranga wānanga that we deliver here at Hawaiki Kura. Wānanga is our waka that we use to effect change in our community. We're also realistic though, in that one wānanga is not going to undo 100+ years of colonisation. And so we consider all of this as Indigenous medicine. And so, yeah, ka nui rā taku mihi kia koutou. We're going to be free in a minute just to have a wander around and have a bit of a wine, because apparently that's what you do on opening night. For me, what drives me is the legacy that was left to me by my kuia. So, you know, we talk about mana tukuiho, we talk about mana tangata, and so she was a pivotal role model. She was my tohunga. She taught me everything I know and gave me the tuapapa, the foundation. And so for me, it's about carrying on her legacy, but also to be able to create legacy. Māori leadership is all about serving your people. And I want our people to absolutely believe he kākono rātau i rūia mai rangi ate, that they are absolutely seeds born of greatness.
There's some of these.
Yeah, powerful, eh?
Oh,
powerful. Yeah. And the journey. I love those ones over there. I, hand on heart, absolutely believe that our solutions to our problems that we face are hidden within our kurahuna, within our taonga tukuiho. That's what gets me up in the morning. It's hard work, but it is just so rewarding just seeing our people absolutely believe in themselves. Yeah. Joyce, thank you for coming down.